Alright guys, so here is the app or the extension that you're going to be downloading and adding to Chrome. It's called Polarr with 2 R's, Photo Editor. Okay, now Polarr is pretty sweet. I recently found this and I feel like this is going to be our best bet as far as editing our photos goes. It's pretty sweet. So you're going to go ahead and add this to Chrome. When you do that, it's probably going to have you it's probably going to ask you to register or something. Just exit out of it. You can just close out that little pop-up window and just use the editor. You don't need to register or anything like that. It may ask you to sign in via Google. You can do that if it asks you, but I don't even think mine did that. So you can just download this Polarr photo editor, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. So when you start it up, for the first time, there's going to be a photo in here, and it might even look like the photo that I use for my demo because I kind of just pulled it to save to use. But when you open Polarr thereafter, it's going to have this base screen here. And you're just going to open your photo. For you guys, you'll have photos in your My Files Photos folder. And I'm going to go ahead and just click. And it's going to open the photo. Now, a little bit about this main screen here. Okay, you can see you've got this icon up here is for opening your photos. There's a couple things over here like filters that you can use. This guy down here is some basic stuff, just like little things you can change or edits that you have. Down here, this is where you can change the photo that you're doing. Okay, so, but this is not saving. So if you do edits from here, this isn't where if you open a photo and you realize it's not the one you want to edit, you can remove the selected photo and pick a different one. Okay, you can open photos, whatever. So here's the one that we're working on for right now. And you can see along the side here, there's these icons. Okay, and they bring up different things for your photos. So mainly what we're going to be doing is working in the adjustments tab. Okay, and there's some good ones up here that we're really going to look at. There's a curves, which is sweet, and I'll show you what that does. That's probably where you should start. And there's a few other ones here. Okay, and I'll be teaching you more about this as we go, but let's say you just want to edit your photos like you're supposed to, like Miss Ernie's telling you to. What do we do? What do we need? Okay, so first things first, when it comes to editing photos, you don't want to over edit. And what that means is if you take an image so far that you're losing visual information, you're losing details in the lights or in the shadow areas, and the photograph is becoming over processed. Okay, that might be a word to kind of help you in your head. So your goal is to have a photograph that looks good, that has, the right things that you want in it, the right, color overlay or white balance or whatever. It's got good contrast, the exposure feels good, but we don't want to take it too far. Okay, so first thing to pull up is your curves, and you can see here that this gives you the ability to edit different colors in the image. So you can click on the grays and you can see if I bring this down, do you see how it turns everything to gray? So what it's doing is it's rendering more stuff. It's eliminating information and rendering it gray. Okay, so that's what curves does. And then you can kind of pull on the curve here too and create some good contrast. So I like curves because you can add multiple, but do you see how I'm starting to lose information here? So you want to be careful with your curves. You don't want to, and if you click on one, you can delete that point out. But it is a good editing tool as far as like contrast goes. Instead of just using the contrast slider, this gives you a little bit more control. But again, if I was editing this photo, I might kind of try to see what I can do to kind of just bring this to where I want it without over editing. So I kind of like, and it also depends on like the mood that you're trying to set too. Like, do you want bright whites, or, you know, what are you looking for? What do you want? You know, if you're taking a picture out in the woods or something and you want it to seem really, you know, calming, maybe high contrast isn't what you're going for. Now, let's say I made this edit and I was like, you know what? I like my curves here, but you want to quickly see what the original looks like. This little icon down here is sweet. So it gives you the ability to kind of just, when you click it, it shows you. Now, do you see how I'm kind of losing some of this stuff in here? So you want to kind of look at your photo and be like, well, I don't want to lose stuff. So I might take this down just a little bit more. Okay. So it's a very subtle thing what you're doing here. It doesn't have to be drastic. Sometimes you need more than others. All right, like see that difference? It's just a tiny bit. All right, so curves is a good one. This gives you the ability to add colors in the photo as well. So you can kind of pull things. Let's say you were trying to set a mood of some sort and you wanted to, you know, do something like that. You can mess around with the greens in the photo. Right, and again, I can continue to check my image and say, am I over editing? You don't want to take it too far. Blues might be cool. It's a little bit on the cool side. I kind of want to keep this one warm. So you can see it's very slight, okay? There's also your hue saturation, all right? And this is a good one too. So you can edit your hue and your saturation. I'm going to turn this off. So you can pull and just kind of, you can see it's playing around with the colors and some of the highlights and things like that. You guys see that happening there? All right. But again, you know, what does over editing look like? Here's saturation. Okay, so you can take a lot of the color out. You can add saturation. Okay, so the biggest thing is going to be you just deciding what is a good picture. We're looking for good contrast. We want to have dark darks and light lights, but we don't want to over edit. Okay, this vignette is sort of a, you know, it can kind of create a mood here. Like if you want to, this is really drastic, right? That's over editing. We don't want to do too much. But you can see, you can kind of do a very slight, you can either feather it or not. Okay, so I usually leave mine feathered if I'm going to add a vignette. But just think of less is more with photography. Okay, you can also control the size. So if you want to do, you know, something where just the center is a little bit brighter. But if you do something like that, I would be careful with, you know, what does it really look like? So you can see here, if I bring my feather down, I can actually see exactly where the spot is. All right. You can also adjust the center. So let's say you want her to be the thing that, you know, does it, then you can, I'll give you a drastic so you can see that I moved it. See how it's moved? Okay, so you can move the point in which you create a vignette, which is really cool. All right, so now I'm going to bring this down and feather back up just to kind of give you, you can kind of do the size, which is cool. So vignette's nice because if you have a dark underexposed photo or something, you can brighten up an area, which is really cool. Details, this is really just like sharpening the image, which you don't want to overdo. Too much is too much going on. Clarity, you can see what that one does. Color. So these are slight adjustments. Your light, all right, going to give you lots of things to do here. So dehazing kind of gives you almost like a polarized look. You can increase the exposure, decrease the exposure. But again, you know, if you put a heavily underexposed photo in here to edit, you're not going to have the visual information that you need to edit this. Okay, and then you've got your color, so you can create, you know, different temperature. You can tint it, but you want to do a very slight. So you can see here, here's my original. That's what I'm working with. So it gives you small adjustments to make your photos look a little bit better. And then once you're ready, you're just going to hit Save Photo. You're going to click JPEG, High, and then I would save a copy. Okay, and you'll be able to, you know, call it whatever you want. So like for our project, you could be like leading lines 1. Leading lines 1. So you know what this is, okay? And that's it. That's how you edit a photo, okay? If you want to change a photo, you can remove the selected one and add a new one, all right? So that's how you do it.